In the following Tech Talk, you're going to hear about the next generations of 5G and Wi-Fi 6 and the certification path from Ketal Gandhi, Director of Business Development from Qualcomm, Jay White, Senior Marketing Managers from NXP, and Juan Carlos Mora Jimenez, Growth Management Director from DECRA.
Hello, my name is Ketal Gandhi and I work at Qualcomm Technologies as Business Development Director in our Connected Smart Systems Group, which falls under IoT Business Unit. There has been a lot of buzz about 5G and AI in tech industry over the last few years. But often the buzz is about how 5G will greatly improve the connectivity speed for consumer mobile devices and how AI will enable new consumer experiences. While the consumer industry is certainly going to benefit from these technologies, enterprise and industrial segments is where we will see the major transformation of these technologies. Let's start with the numbers. What does this mean in terms of economic impact? We had commissioned an independent 5G economy study that projected that over $13 trillion of economic benefits will be generated by 5G. And the biggest impact will come from digital transformation of industries like construction, mining, agriculture, manufacturing, retail, healthcare, smart cities, education, and so on. So what is exactly about 5G that will enable these transformation? We are very well aware of the extreme data rates in multi-gigabits per second that 5G will enable. But often overlooked are other characteristics of 5G that will enable mission critical and control use cases and give us the ability to deploy massive Internet of Things. Ultra-high reliability can replace wires in factories, for example, to enable manufacturers to deploy configurable factories. Ultra-low latency will mean the robots will help us with the precision that's needed in remote surgery use cases. Extreme mobility will allow warehouses and retail to utilize automatic guided vehicles for picking and fulfillment. Deep coverage means farms and fields and oil rigs in remote places can enable massive sensor network for remote monitoring and troubleshooting. And I can go on, but you get the idea. The bottom line is that different devices deployed in an industrial and enterprise setting will have different data rate, latency, and reliability requirements, and 5G can support all of those. The question is, how is that possible? 5G is more than yet another air interface technology. It is a unifying connectivity fabric for future innovation. The inherent strength of 5G is that it has been designed to be a platform that can handle diverse set of services from extreme broadband with fiber-like speeds to mission-critical sub-millisecond latencies over a diverse set of spectrum from below 1 GHz to millimeter wave, supporting a diverse set of deployment models from macro to indoor to private networks. In short, 5G is a platform that can handle not only today's diverse needs, but is designed to be future-proof for yet-to-be-designed services. Another important aspect of 5G is that this is the first time that the cellular network standards groups are designing for industrial use cases from ground up instead of having it as an afterthought, which also allows us to imagine that 5G will bring the digital transformation of these industrial use cases. The diverse set of deployment models are the most interesting aspect of 5G for digital transformation of industrial use cases. Instead of just relying on carrier-owned and managed network, industrial customers can have mixed ownership scenarios with deployment of private networks for more critical and local needs and rely on public networks for more traditional use cases. Big retailers, warehouse owners, and manufacturers are already engaging with us in case studies on how they can best leverage private network deployments in 5G to achieve the best performance and total cost of ownership. Another aspect of 5G is multi-spectrum support. And millimeter wave support in higher bands is one of the most exciting new development in 3GPP release 15 and 16. Millimeter wave enables large bandwidths, 25 times more than what's being used for 3G and 4G today. Greater capacity for dense deployments and extreme low latency. Now, speaking of the 3GPP release, here is the 5G roadmap. As you can see, while the first release were focused on smartphone and other consumer use cases, in 2020, Release 15 enabled support for millimeter wave and private networks for enterprises. Further evolution of those features and more in Release 16 will enable industrial IoT use cases in 2021. So the time is now to act to be part of this revolution. And to do our bit to be part of this revolution, Qualcomm just recently launched the first of its kind X65 modem with RF capabilities that will support 10 gigabit 5G speeds and many more Release 16 features that can be further upgraded as the rollout continues. We talked about private networks and millimeter wave support earlier. This product brings that to our customers who can further build on it and be part of the revolution. Data is the new oil, as they say, and access to this data and information and the capability to process this data to turn into something useful is key for digital transformation in industrial IoT. And for that to happen, you need to have not only connectivity, but also compute and security. Low power compute is a necessary component, spanning from powerful on-device processing, machine learning to edge cloud services. We believe that only by combining these three components, compute, security, and connectivity, can you reach the full potential of Industry 4.0. We believe in this distributed intelligence paradigm with advent of 5G. For the digitized world to scale efficiently in a meaningful way, we cannot go back to the centralized cloud for everything because it just can't scale to handle the massive amount of data. The role of central cloud will continue to be around big data and training of AI. So come 5G and AI together, we will have the ability to process those massive amount of data at the source and to truly enable a digitized world. We see rapid proliferation of power efficient on-device inference, AI inference today, especially to enhance use cases, but the interplay with 5G will enable new use cases and verticals. But in the future, we see fully distributed AI with lifelong on-device learning, which allows for next level of personalization with privacy. This is one of our AI research areas. So you pass on the refined values from device out to the edge cloud for bigger aggregated value. In a nutshell, we need all three parts to interplay: the cloud, the edge cloud, and the devices. And as we talk about sensitive data processing and communication, and that too at the scale that is required for digital transformation, security is very important. 5G inherently has built-in security features, but having hardware root of trust-based security at the device level to protect data capture, data processing, data at rest, and data in transit is a must. To help you in this journey of digital transformation, Advantech has developed pre-certified 5G and 4G modules based on Qualcomm Technologies cellular products. I encourage you to look at AIW344 and AIW355 module, which is based on Qualcomm SDX55 5G modem. Advantech offers design services for your device development so you could focus on your application and differentiate your solution. Good luck on your journey and thank you.
Hello, my name is Jay White, Senior Marketing Manager with NXP. And today we're going to talk about Wi-Fi 6 and accelerating breakthroughs in different industries. But before we start talking about, breakthroughs and so forth, let's take a step back to talk about exactly what Wi-Fi 6 is and how it can accelerate those next generation breakthroughs. Wi-Fi 6 is a generational change for the Wi-Fi standard. When you take a look back at Wi-Fi throughout the years, previous generations of Wi-Fi really focused on individual device performance. So trying to take an individual device and getting the data from point A to point B as quickly as possible. And that was great. But as we look at what IoT has done for the industry and finding that there's more devices on the network, you start realizing that individual device performance has its limits. And so one of those big limitations is efficiency. When you have a lot of wireless devices on a network trying to fight over spectrum, trying to fight over airtime, you find out that individual device performance runs into kind of some roadblocks. And so herein lies Wi-Fi 6. Wi-Fi 6 was introduced as high-efficiency Wi-Fi. And they've implemented some really key features to improve network efficiency, to reduce latency, to improve power consumption. And all this adds up to being able to create a wireless network that's more scalable, it's more efficient, and it improves the overall performance of all the devices on a network, not just the individual device performance. So Wi-Fi 6 has a couple key features. We'll go over those real quickly and talk about exactly how those correlate to different use cases. So one of the key, a couple of the key features and functions of Wi-Fi 6, first off is they've changed the modulation type by implementing OFDMA. So OFDMA really allows for improved efficiency of the available spectrum. So when you look at OFDMA versus previous OFDM modulation, you can expect up to about 60% more efficiency than previous modulation. So now you have essentially 60% better capacity on the network. And then you take that and marry that up to the available spectrum. So Wi-Fi 6 doesn't just work in 5 gigahertz, it works in 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, and then also the upcoming 6 gigahertz band. So now you have more spectrum available with a more efficient modulation scheme. It allows for more devices on the network and more overall network capacity. They've done a couple other things as well, though. I mean, when you look at one of the big things that people typically try to focus on is battery power and consumption. So Wi-Fi 6 has a new feature called target wake time. It allows devices to remain asleep for longer periods of time, thus reducing overall system power consumption. Another thing where power consumption runs into is with the reduced latency that you realize with OFDMA and some of the other improvements. So when you're reducing latency, that means you have less time on air, and therefore also reducing how long the transmitter needs to be on. There's other things as well, though. I mean, when we look at how Wi-Fi 6 uses the available spectrum with BSS coloring, be able to do spectrum reuse. You look at things like 1024 QAM. So every packet that you send has it's a more dense packet structure. You look at things like multi-user MIMO, both upstream and downstream. And all of this really just adds up to a really efficient network. But how does that correlate to different types of industry? How does that accelerate innovation? A couple different places you could see this in would be different areas around, for example, healthcare. Healthcare is a great example of where Wi-Fi 6 can shine. When we look at a typical hospital, there's more wireless devices in a hospital today than there were 10 years ago. And one of the big things in the hospital is being able to push mobility. So mobility with a patient can improve the patient's outcomes, gives them a sense of freedom as they can move throughout a hospital. And having more wireless devices allows them to reduce the amount of cables and hookups to a patient. So Wi-Fi 6 is a great improvement to this area. So as more devices are on the wireless network, hospitals tend to be over-congested. So things like BSS coloring and spatial reuse will be highly important for a medical environment. You look at reduced latency, so now you can reduce the airtime needed to send and receive packets, similar with multi-user MIMO upstream and downstream. And you can really start to realize some of those benefits. It's again going back to the individual device performance versus the network as a whole. When you're in a hospital, you don't just want one patient to be, to get all the throughput. And so Wi-Fi 6 allows you to spread that efficiencies across the entire wireless network so that all the devices on a network can realize a better quality of service. Yeah, another great area where we're seeing Wi-Fi 6 being used is specifically in Industry 4.0, with things like machine condition monitoring, and particularly AR and VR. We're finding that there's quite a few use cases around smart glasses and augmented reality. And smart glasses are interesting. They're increasing traction in industry really because of their ability to overlay digital twins for the assembly and maintenance workers, to provide on-screen instruction. And so this is really changing how we view typical day-to-day things. But smart glasses are interesting because they have a unique requirement around connectivity. They require robust connectivity, mainly because of their reliance on video, low latency connectivity, and really real-time data visualization. And so when you look at, again, previous generations of Wi-Fi weren't able to accomplish what you can do from a latency, spectrum, efficiency, and quality of service point of view. So Wi-Fi 6 is really ideal for areas with or use cases requiring smart glasses, AR and VR. I mean, of course, as you see, Wi-Fi is such a ubiquitous connectivity method throughout the industry. I mean, there's Wi-Fi in virtually every corner of every building. And so it really makes it prime for things, for example, machine condition monitoring. If you look at a factory. So previously, Wi-Fi consumed quite a bit of power. And again, it had some spectrum efficiency issues, but those have been addressed with Wi-Fi 6. And so now you can start to put Wi-Fi in sensors that previously didn't have Wi-Fi. And by putting Wi-Fi in sensors, now it means that you have more mobility, you have more flexibility in where you put these sensors, how you can manage updates, if you need to make any kind of changes to the layout of a factory, especially with things like co-packing, where you have machines that are being taken down and put up very quickly. Having wireless connectivity in these different machines can really help with the mobility and the setup and teardown times. So if there's anything to take away from today's presentation, it's really that Wi-Fi 6 isn't just an iterative change for Wi-Fi. It really is a generational change. It's changing the way that we use Wi-Fi. It's changing the use cases that Wi-Fi can be used in. It's really adding those enhancements and those benefits that can drive innovation. And there's plenty of new use cases out there. We just have to go out and find them.
Yes, during this webinar, we are presenting a very interesting topic related to product certification. DECRA and Advantech have been working together to develop a program or a path for certification for Advantech customers that are implementing their wireless kits. A very simple, easy, and very cost-effective proposal. So let me show in the next slides how is this working. Thank you. We have this path created for certification where IoT products built with Advantech components will have a very easy certification process with DECRA. DECRA, we will have all Advantech component certification documents and test reports. So with those documents, we can leverage Advantech clients' testing process. So you will not need to repeat the testing that was done for Advantech components, only what you are adding on top of that. All integrated products with all possible sets of components will be pre-evaluated by DECRA experts very well in advance. So with that, we can provide a very quick response to clients using the same sets of components. Advantech, of course, no need to say that they will support DECRA for their customer certifications. Projects will be quick, simple, and a very competitive cost. And Advantech customers will be able to track the projects online. DECRA will provide the tools to monitor and to handle the projects on a web link where you can really see and share those project process or progress. DECRA extensive know-how on product certification will be available for all Advantech developers community, where DECRA will cover for sure all the certification needs. So you need to concern because we will be having all this portfolio of services for you. What is this path for the IoT industry for certification? How does it mean? We just develop a very straightforward certification process in 3 simple steps. Step 1 is when you purchase the components from Advantech website, you will get access to our via a link or a button, or you can click, and you will go to the step 2 when you can fill the information regarding the project and the requirements for testing needed. And in the step 3, you will receive a proposal, very quick proposal to complete the certification. Let's go one by one the steps. So in the product definition, you will be selecting or deciding which components you will need to have for your final product implementations. Then you could go to Advantech website and select those wireless kits in order to build the product, something that you already do. And once you purchase them, you will be addressed to www.decra.com, where you can have access to our global service of certification. Be a very good process, a very optimized process. So the landing page you will reach, it looks like this. So with several fields that we need to fill it up. So let me go one by one, the fields that we needed to complete. The first field is the Advantech wireless kits. So we will put all these Advantech kits into a list. So you just need to select them. And okay, what happened if you have more kits or more components that are not from Advantech? Don't worry, we have a field where you can place, or you can really indicate us what other components are not from Advantech. So you like antennas or other ones, just tell us the model, the manufacturer, and the characteristics, very basic information, so that we can know which one is it, so we can take into consideration these other components. The next field to be filled is the product description. We need to know what sort of product it is, if it's a router, or it is an alarm system, or it is a different IoT product. And please, very important information is what sort of technologies you are implementing, for instance, Wi-Fi or 5G, so you have both. It's good to know because we give us a flavor of the product, and the frequency bands you are using. Plus, if you have any batteries or AC/DC charger. The next point on information we need is the target countries you plan to sell the product. So we need to know where you plan to deploy or to commercialize your product. For instance, in Europe, in the US, in Taiwan, in China, Japan, or any other country you are targeting to place the product into the market. Next, it is good to tell us when do you plan to start the project for testing or certification, so we can assign the proper resources and book the facilities, of course. Next is if you have some additional testing requirements or certification requirements that are not related to the type approval or the country approval, like for instance, industry association testing. If you have a Wi-Fi and you want to have the Wi-Fi logo, then you will require Wi-Fi alliance testing. Same if you are selling this product to an operator that is part of this global certification forum or PTCRB for North America operators, you can tell us which one you want to complete, and then click submit. Then you will reach the next page, which is the contact information. So you have to tell us about yourself or your company, and especially pay attention to the country, because based on the country you choose, this information will be sent to one of our DECRA account managers that are located nearby. So, okay, one is completed all this information, click submit, and then you will reach us. The information will arrive to the closest DECRA account manager to you, and he will or she will discuss with the DECRA experts to really create the full proposal for certification. So we will send you that in a very quick manner with preferred access to the lab. So that will be giving you a quick time response for the testing or the certification process, where the timelines of the whole process will be very reduced, considering all the Advantech products certification that they have was done before, and for sure, a very competitive. Once you accept the proposal, and the DECRA account manager will send you a detailed schedule, so the project plan, and a login and password to access our DECRA Task Force 1 project management tool. This is a tool to track all your project online. The password can be shared, and the login can be shared in your team, so your team can really look at that, or even for your customers or your management. So that will be an important tool that we can track how is the project going. And in the whole process, you will have a very good and dedicated support. So this is how it looks, our DECRA Task Force 1 project management tool that we have developed for our own projects, and we will customize it, and we already customized for Advantech customers too. So here we have the login and password, and when you enter into this web-based link, it's a web-based application, so it can be accessed from anywhere. You will enter into that information. Let me show what sort of information you will see. You will see the number of countries you have chosen and how is the status of the certification in each country. And that's include the samples, whether they have arrived or not. I mean, the documents you are needed to fill it up, they will be also stored here. And of course, the testing process. So where the testing has started and when it has been finished, and when we expect the certification to be completed. It will be a very organized information that you can easily share, as we said. And you will have also here the very detailed status of every single technology that you have in the product regarding the test results that have been obtained. So which test cases you have been executed, which one has been completed, and for all the technologies. And the very good thing is that we will keep all this information for 10 years, including the test reports and the certificates for the country. So no matter what, no matter when, you can access to it and download them and have it available for any customer or any purpose. So you don't worry anymore about saving those very critical information. We will save it for you. Why Advantech selected DECRA is we are a global company. We are a worldwide company. We are more than 44,000 employees. We have presence in 50 countries. We have 15 laboratories with more than 2,200 experts that can help and are really specialized in testing and certification. We have a notified body. We have a notified body for Europe and telecommunication certification body for the US. And foreign certification body for Canada. So we have a good a group of experts that to support here. As you can see, we are located in multiple countries, and the laboratories are located in all the main regions. So your projects will be served on your time zone and in your language with the people close to you. That's very important for project communication. Other values we have, as you can see, we have a wide range of testing and certification services for wireless and cellular. So we are a Wi-Fi Alliance laboratory. We are a 5G accredited laboratory, so we can run these programs. We are also, we have a very good background in telecom, consumer, automotive, medical, and industrial market segments. So we know what those markets are needing. And we have accreditations for quality assurance and quality of the services. Plus, we have a very good range of authorizations and accreditation from multiple industry associations. So the guarantee of the certification is covered by DECRA. So thank you. I hope this seminar or this webinar has been of your interest, and you can use, if you have any question, please contact us, Juan Carlos Mora, my name, and Ching-Yi Chang, who's based in Taiwan, are the main program managers for this. But you will get, of course, local support too from our DECRA account managers. Thank you again, and please be safe and healthy.